I'll call the Wythe County Board of Supervisors October 10th, 2017 meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and at this time, Amy Wythe from Mount Pleasant United Methodist Church here to do our standing for the pledge.
Lord, we pray that you would give us wisdom to listen. We pray, God, that you would give us a special sense of our calling to your leadership and care for those whom you put under our power, under our providence. We ask, God, that you would guide each of us to walk in wisdom, and that we would be good stewards of those precious things and those precious people you place in our care. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome everyone. We'll move into Now they're on. Move right into our agenda, citizens time. We have Mr. Roy Cox from Pope Road. Mr. Cox.
Yeah, my name is Roy Cox, live on Pope Road, and we've been there for 14, 15 years. The road was on the 6-year plan we understand to be blacktopped. Well, it still ain't done nothing, and the road is really bad shape. So I urge each and every one of you to push to get that road blacktopped. Right now, these hills, the road is washed out, the ditches, you can't pass each other. Got to back up or something. And it's just sort of ridiculous. We got to put up with that. And I understand money's tight. Our bridge is washed out 3 years ago. It's coming April. But if we could just get the road blacktopped, I mean, that would be my preference over the bridge, because it'd make it a little easier to get in and out. And wear and tear your vehicle, bang, 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 and it's ridiculous. So I would appreciate each and every one of you to push. Even Jeff Russell, I don't know his position on it, but I had some guy to check it out, how long it's going to be for the bridge or the road, which he sat right here and said 2021 the road be blacktop. Then he said 2022. So I don't know his position, what he's talking about, but we need that road blacktop bad. I appreciate it if each and every one of you would push for us.
We'll see what we can do, Mr. Cox, and we'll see how much money comes in next year as far as the 6-year plan goes. Maybe we'll have more money, hopefully.
I certainly hope so. But
I do too.
appreciate y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
We have a Bristol meeting the 17th, Highway Department.
Okay. Mr. Paul Matthews.
My name's Paul Matthews. I live on 1542 Pope Road. And as we come out this evening, on the hill, come towards Powder Mill Road, rust across, ruts in the road and everything. Gravel, when it's wet, it's muddy. When it's dry, it's dusty. And it just seems like it. We bring stuff up at these meetings it's on, and there's nothing done about it. Them drain pipes across that road, none of them's been cleaned out, and it's been in mention for over 3 years, and still ain't been done. And I don't even understand why we can't get nothing done that needs to be done.
Well, we've requested VDOT to clean the pipes out, and I know somebody went over there and took some pictures, because they said they'd cleaned them out at one time, and they hadn't.
The graders run a track into them, but if the pipe is full of dirt and gravel, makes no difference how much you run the ditch into it, the water ain't gonna run out of it. And down to Bottom Hill there towards Powder Mill Road, that, I don't even think a man even found it, because they don't even run a ditch into it anymore.
We will get in contact with Mr. Russell and see, why they haven't, what reason they give us that they haven't cleaned the drain pipes out. Like I said, hopefully we can get some more money next year in the 6-year road plan and pave some more roads.
When
We're kind of at VDOT's mercy. We can ask and ask and ask all we want to, but it's still up to them when they're going to fund it and when they're going to do it.
well, the worst danger about a bad road is that school bus running on it. If that school bus ever wreck and kill 2 or 3 kids, I got news for you, somebody will pay for it. It'll be a lot more than what VDOT what it costs to get a road fixed.
We'll get in touch with VDOT again tomorrow and ask them, about the drain pipes and why they haven't been cleaned out, and see if they can't get over there and fill up some of the ruts and stuff.
But that ditch line on that hill from Powder Mill Road going up to the top of the grade there, they're that deep. You can't, it ain't no shoulder. When you get off a hard surface, you're in a ditch on the bottom. So, and half of that hill, you can't even pass a vehicle on it. If you meet a car, you gotta go real slow in order to give each one close enough to get by without getting in the ditch. It's bad. That ditch line need to be filled up with heavy gravel on both sides to give a shoulder. And it ain't no shoulder there, it's just a hard top and then the ditch.
I'll try to get over there tomorrow evening and drive through there and talk to Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Is that in your district?
That's everybody that's signed up on citizens' time. Does anybody else would like to speak during citizens' time?
Is that in your district?
Hearing none, we'll close citizens' time. I entertain a motion to approve the September 26 minutes.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the September 26 minutes. Any corrections or changes? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Yeah?
And the chair votes aye. Payment of invoices.
Mr. Chairman, I move we pay our invoices.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pay the invoices. Is there any invoice any board member would like to pull out or discuss? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Mr. Bear, old business. We have anything under old business?
I do not have any items for old business.
New business. Grouse Ridge Road Project 1.
As you're aware, several citizens from Grouse Ridge Road have approached the board, and we've had several meetings with them. VDOT has indicated the ability to surface treat that road after meeting with the residents back here in a group meeting and going over some of the cost options and benefits. They want to proceed with getting approximately 1.3 miles of Grouse Ridge Road brought up to state maintained standards. It basically runs from Peppersterry Road back to its intersection with Quail Forest Road. They are working on a signatures to create a transportation service district back in there like we have on the other projects. But in order to proceed with making application to VDOT for revenue sharing, which is now part of an online application, I believe Mr. Vaughn has submitted all documentation required with the exception of having a resolution of support from the Board of Supervisors. And this is a resolution from the board to make application for the revenue sharing program.
Okay, you have in your board packet Resolution 2017-25, Grouse Ridge Road Project 1. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll
Yeah,
do it.
I would have.
Okay.
How much did that leave that will not be paid?
I don't have an exact number, Coy, but I would say probably over 2 miles back in there, still to be paid. The rest of Grouse Ridge Road all the way to the end, Quail Forest and Bear Waller Road as well.
Grouse Ridge goes another 2 miles beyond where they are, but probably like 4 miles in the future.
There's people who lived all the way back in there.
Yep.
What's the tax increase?
The rate, I do not have it in front of me, but they were doing 2 rates, those along the road, and those paying a higher rate than those not on the road. And we have discussed it. The proposal that they are working off of now, I believe, is 45 cents for those on the road and 38 cents for those that will not be on the state maintained road.
For what's the length, time?
7 years.
7 years, okay.
And that was part of the discussion, you know. We could look at going to 2 miles if we wanted to, but then your rate's gonna go up to 90 cents. Or if you did 3 miles, you're up to $1. And it's all what they think they can get enough people to agree to get accomplished. And obviously, this takes care of some of the worst part of it, which is through the dip and coming up through there. So, you know, I indicated to them, we're willing to go with whatever number they're willing to go with. This was just a number that they thought they agreed with, that provided a funding level for them to get started, and they could get a transportation district in place to do it. The signatures may not come back in, and they may have to go back out with another proposal in order to do it, but that will not affect the application. The application, we would, assuming we get approved by VDOT, the transportation district would be a separate matter.
It takes what percentage of owners?
More than 50% of the landowners and more than 50% of the land mass.
Gary, that'll do 2 really important things. It'll allow them to get fire and rescue in there in a timely manner, and it'll also take that school bus stop problem away right there in that blind curve at Pepperidge Ferry Road. If the school, once it's state road, will take it back to Quail Ridge, it's going to save those people 2 miles twice a day and get it off of a busy road.
That Pepper Ferry Road's got a stop sign at the end.
It's the only place in Virginia that the state road stops for a private driveway.
Yep. Any more questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Yeah,
And the chair votes aye. Next item is VACO annual business meeting voting credentials. I can't see it.
I know that we have a chairman who's on the VACO board going, and we have some other members going. We need to have a motion to establish a voting delegate and an alternative delegate for the 2017 annual meeting. I do believe the chairman is going and the vice chairman is going as well.
And, I'm going,
I make a motion, y'all are the two. I'll say. Joe can be the alternate if you can't go, Tim.
I'll be there. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Encourage everybody that can to go to that meeting.
How many people are going to the VACO annual conference? 1, 3, 4.
Be a waste for me.
Your last year.
I know, but you know, I've eaten fancy before.
Okay. We have 4 going to the annual meeting. I take it, Ms. Collins, you've done all the arrangements and everything? Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Chairman. Stephen, you intend to go?
I intend to go.
Okay. Anytime that the administrator can't go, I think we ought to take a county employee just to see how much good comes out of that meeting. They do really promote an agenda, as Tim knows, for a legislative package, and they do quite a bit of good. They're our real lobbyists in Richmond, and without them, counties wouldn't get much voice in Richmond at all. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Collins, I'll get with you as far as reservations for dinner. If you've not, have you done them? You have? Okay, good. Okay, we have an electronic meeting policy.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a draft policy that I've got on the board for you all to review. Would request no action on it tonight. Just want you all to review it. I've provided it to the county attorney. We've had some recent situations where attendance by telephone has been requested. The Code of Virginia allows it only in certain instances. And in order to do so, you must adopt electronic meetings policy, and you must also adopt an acceptance policy. So what you have in front of your policy, and the second thing is the acceptance policy, which basically states it is accepted to do it unless there is a reason that comes from the committee there and it's objected at that point in time.
And
This is written off of the same policy that the Virginia Freedom of Information Act Council has drafted their policy on.
Does the board have any questions? Y'all read the policy. I know it's not but 2 meetings a year.
2 meetings, and the quorum has to be here. So if it's an emergency situation and Dr. Hausman can't be here and that meets the criteria for it, the quorum has to at least be here. He has to be where he can call in and can be heard by everyone, and everyone can, and he can hear everyone in the process.
Okay, is it only telephone? Can it be, I mean, Skype?
It
It
can.
doesn't
all-
go into details, but as long as you can see and hear, or as
Okay,
long as you can hear everything is what the code
so
says.
it's basically any electronic media.
If I'm not mistaken, I went through that session. They had it VACO, and it covers video
Okay.
conferencing.
Well, I mean, there's, Skype and FaceTime and all kinds of stuff now.
Stephen, does that apply to a total meeting? Or like often when I'm late for a meeting and y'all patch me in while I'm driving?
That probably would not meet the definition of the emergency clause for that meeting. But we do have it set for board meetings and committee meetings both.
So what you're saying, if you're not there at the beginning of the meeting, you're absent for the total meeting?
I mean, no, you can come in late, or if it is a situation that is an emergency that meets the requirements within that code section, and within the policy here, then yes, you can call in.
And the quorum of the board has to vote to agree
Yes.
to it.
A committee is where it's questionable to me, is if you're negligent and tardy, and you're driving and you're talking to them and you're part of the meeting, this says you can't do that.
Well, your participation is due to an emergency or a personal matter. That's what the code allows.
But is that
Not
talking
being
about
late to a
absence?
meeting does not constitute what they consider an emergency. If you're in the hospital and can't attend the meeting, that works. Those might be.
Or if you're out of town.
Yeah.
But Scott, does that negate like the 10 minutes that we're normally talking about? You can't participate or you can't be part of it by phone,
Correct. That's correct.
okay?
And I apologize, I did read, I just scanned it before, but it says through telephonic, video, electronic, or other communication means.
So anyway, I will have that back on the next agenda for consideration by the board.
Okay, Appalachian Regional Exposition Center, construction.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, could I insert 2 additional items before we get into that discussion, if you do not mind?
Yes.
One is handed out, I believe, in front of you.
Sheriff's Grant.
Officers here with us, the sheriff's office. They were awarded a grant from the sheriff's office. They brought this up today. I did not see any reason to wait and take it to the budget committee, but basically this is to amend and appropriate the $44,000 that they are awarded from the Wythe Foundation for the defibrillator project. And by amending and appropriating this amount, they've already gotten the quotes to go ahead and get these ordered, and as soon as they come in, they can take the invoices back over to the Wythe Foundation and close this thing out and not have to do a third payment and then a third payment and then a third payment and all their reports. They can take care of this very quickly and promptly. And it's all grant funded.
I recommend the acceptance of the grant and to amend and appropriate $44,000 to 3102-457708.
I have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
I will
Questions?
mention that they did attempt to also through this grant get some for the courthouse buildings, but that was not allowed. The police vehicle grant was the only one that they were authorized. So,
I just want to thank Mr. Burr for getting on the agenda this quickly, too. Thank you, Mr. Burr.
Okay. Any more question or discussion? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Yeah.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion passes. Next item.
second item that's been brought to my attention, we have had some recent discussions through Buildings and Grounds with others that the Town of Wytheville Department of Museums may have an interest in the Spiller Annex area.
Okay, I know Scott has worked on a lease,
I have. I'll send that to Steve.
and I think Mr. Hill was wanting to, in that lease, kind of specify
Yeah.
what the building would be used for.
Two parcels that we originally talked about, that'd be used for museum use, museum department. Two, that can't be subleased or tore down without the county's approval. And thirdly, that they show some schedule of moving forward with the renovation. And that leaves it up to them, but we at least ought to have some ties that it just doesn't sit there as a dead building for another 20 years. Those are all easily dealt with, aren't they, Scott?
Yeah, we can just put that in the lease. Yeah.
And are you're talking about tying it in with the lease with the rest of the
With the
property?
park and the jail site where the old jail used to be, so it would all have the same end date,
Okay.
which is 2031.
And,
Say what?
The end date on the lease for the park and the jail property is 2031.
What happens then?
It ends. You can renew it with the town. So you want to, I mean, you can extend this out longer if you want. I plugged that date in there because that's what, that whole complex is tied on that. I just thought it'd be easier to keep them together. But you can just turn around and lease it again to the town, if that's your pleasure.
Well, Charlie's had some input in this. Charlie, how do you feel like, I consider that a short-term lease.
Sounds like short
It's
term.
pretty short, it's 15 years.
And if they're gonna put the money into the building to restore or renovate it,
I mean, it sits on the property, that's on the, that property's not contained in the lease we have right now.
It's not, it's held out with the school.
Why don't we draft it and have it worded with it tying in with all the rest of them and send it to them for review and see if they want a longer time period on it or if that meets their time frame.
But at the end of 15 years, it would revert to the county. It wouldn't automatically become a parking lot.
It would be, it's still county owns, the lease with the town would end, and then you control it.
Okay.
Because the lease with all that ends at that point in time.
And the board at that time can extend it or say no.
Right.
And also put in there if it's going to be used for any other purpose except for what we agreed to, they have to come back to the board for approval.
Yeah, anything they change, they have to come back for approval.
The subleasing, though, is a solid statement, right? Scott?
I'm looking for it. I can get it in there if it's not in there.
Okay.
How long will it take you to have that back to the board?
You know what I've got to you now, if you want. I'm not sure I have everything in there, but I've got most of it.
Well, they get a review time, and we need to look at it.
Has Ms. Emerson talked to the town about what she's wanting to do?
Yeah.
I know that they've indicated that there is an interest in it. And Wayne has indicated that he is aware there has been an interest, but as far as any details or anything like that is not indicated. When I talked with him about the last visit, he was not aware that I think she and a few others had gone to make that visit. So that was a couple of weeks ago when they did that.
But, Mr. Farthing, what you said, you were making it just coincide with the end of date for all the rest of it, right?
Yeah, keep on.
I mean, if they have questions or concerns, certainly if we needed to, we could extend the end date just for this. Okay.
There's a plat that shows this lot. It's
Right.
1.4 acres. And you just extend this lease out further. Wherever end date you want in there, negotiate with the town, you just plug it in there.
Skull conveyed that lot to us probably about 2002, 2003, somewhere in there.
It may be a little more convenient to have it all in at the same time, but I mean, I don't think it's a big,
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
not a big deal.
Okay, is anything else, Stephen, you want to bring up at this time?
That's all.
Okay, now we'll move to the Appalachian Regional Exposition Center construction.
The bids were received last Thursday here at the county office building. Within the bid package is the summary of the bids received. The apparent low bidder was RGM Erectors with a base bid of $6,662,150. Their deductive alternative number one, they were also the low base bidder, which was basically bidding just the foundation, the building, drying in the building type thing. They were at $2,596,061. For this following the bid opening, the building construction committee met with RGM Erectors and discussed options for value engineering, deductions that they felt might be worthy for the county to consider. That was last Thursday. tonight, the building committee met prior to this meeting with and discussed RGM's bid and possible savings that could be obtained in the process.
It's not gonna save $2.3 million. And we have $4.3 million left to pay for this.
We've got about 4.3 in there, plus we have $250,000 from the Tobacco Commission that's been awarded that is not, we've not received our letters to amend and appropriate back against this project. So
Okay.
roughly $4.5 million.
Okay, so still over $2 million short.
Do you want to explain what we discussed in committee meeting?
The committee met tonight, and the committee would like to look at proceeding with the full contract bid, not the deductible alternative. That contract bid is subject to some decreases in the process. Obviously, this is above what is budgeted in our budget. In order to add that amount of, or in order to add the amount of funds it would take to cover this base bid plus a contingency on top of it would require amendment and appropriation to the budget for the Apex Center. That amount would require, and that amount is in the neighborhood of $2.5 million. That amount would require a public hearing to be held by the Board of Supervisors because it is increasing our budget more than 1%.
So take $2.5 million out of general fund, taxpayer money, to build this, that we've said would not cost taxpayer money. Fellas, of course, you all know how I feel about it. I mean, this is just getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting more and more, out of control. I mean, now, if the lease was written so that they would pay back, what, 300 and how much?
320-some thousand, I think the debt service.
Okay, which comes due in December, which we'll have to pay first. So $320-some thousand a year. What will $2.5 million add to that, Mr. Bear?
Well, the $2.5 million is proposed to come out of reserve funds. So it is not borrowing the money at this point in time.
So we're not looking to have it paid back?
Well, we haven't finalized the lease or negotiated it with them.
Well, you all know how I'm going to vote on this. I mean,
We already knew how you were going to vote.
I know,
The
but
way
it
you
just,
state a question and the way the answers proposed are entirely two different things.
what do you mean? I don't,
It's not going to be paid back. You said it's out of general funds.
where is it coming from?
Out,
Out of general fund?
no. We set aside, and you were here part of it, 4 or 5 years ago, a construction fund. You build out that construction fund, and Gary, it gets replenished. It's been ongoing. It's so you can pay a bill, you get your grants, you get future money, and it replenishes that fund, and it's worked. You've been in favor of every one of them that was for a water project.
It still, comes out of taxpayer money, and the thing is, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and
Well, I hope it continues to
we
get
borrowed,
bigger.
we borrowed money before we had any plans at all, and the school was criticized for asking for $10 million and said, well, we don't know what you want it for. And yet, here we've done the same thing. It does not make good fiscal sense to me.
Any more comments or discussion?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay.
In the way we state a proposal and the way we react to a proposal can be emotional, and it can be factual, or it can be stated in a very negative way. I've told you, and for your reasons, you have no reason to believe that the payback on this thing will not be a burden on the taxpayers. And we know that, and you know that.
I do not know that.
Well, if you would open your mind and listen to reason of finance, it's an economic development project. It's not a giveaway. It's not a horse show ring as is promoted by the negative side. It's going to bring growth to Wythe County and a tax base. You don't believe that?
Well,
But we've got one ace. This board has got one ace, using a term, that if we need to ever help in this way, you can develop a tax zone out there and charge a fee on every ticket, and then it will easily pay back every bit of the money used out of construction loan money. That we're loaning ourselves money instead of borrowing money and paying interest on it. That, you do it if you build a house. Most people get a construction loan, they build a house, they go to permanent financing, and it pays for itself. This is not a stretch to comprehend that same methodology. And I hate that we're always the two that do the discussion here.
well, I understand that, Joe, I do, but when we first started with this thing, I said that I was afraid that the county was going to get more and more and more involved. So it went from helping this one group find a patch of land to buying a patch of land to, instead of helping them build it, to building it, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And we didn't borrow enough money to do this because we didn't have any plans, we didn't have anything. We just said $5 million. So if I'm still going to say, to me, it does not make good fiscal sense, and I think that it will end up being, more of a burden on the taxpayers than it will be a benefit. And that's me.
Well, I've been involved with this since the beginning. And, I look at it as economic development for the county, and I think it's our responsibility to try to grow the county. And we can sit and, just wait for stuff to come to the county and not do anything. I mean, I think past boards has done a wonderful job as far as infrastructure in the county. The industrial park, Lot 24, we had, I don't know how many people looking. One of these days that lot will be full. And to bring jobs into the county. And, if everybody realizes, and well, I realize you may have to spend a little money to bring stuff to the county, to make the county grow. And I think that's our responsibility. I think we should do it wisely. It is taxpayers' money. But I think all of us has looked at the numbers, looked at the studies, and I don't think it is far-fetched to think that we will get all of the return money back for what we paid for the land. We have excess land we can sell for lots, and I've been contacted twice on people interested in purchasing property down there. But, in the long run, it's up to us to spur some kind of growth into the county. And I think we should do it wisely, and I think this is a wise method of doing it. People we set up a booth at the Max Meadows Heritage Day, and everybody that come through there was very positive of this project. I didn't hear one negative comment about the project, just when are we gonna get it built? And, I think we should move forward, and, I entertain a motion on the floor for the public hearing at our next board meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we set a public hearing for October the 24th at 9 a.m. to discuss the additional allocation of $2.5 million to the Apex budget. And again, this is the public hearing only.
Okay, I have a second.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, any more discussion?
Is it normal to have a public hearing like this at a day meeting?
We've had to have public hearings at day meetings. I mean, it's not something that we've never done.
I have a question. So what you're saying is we're gonna accept the bid from Bob Melton, RG for 6.4 as it's written?
Well, not exactly. We're still in negotiations with Bob Melton to lowering the prices of it. Hopefully, we can get it down below that.
The committee is not planning to actually award the bid until the next meeting.
Well, now, the committee can't award a bid.
Right, I'm sorry. The committee
Okay.
is not prepared to make a recommendation to the full board until the next meeting to fully award the actual final amount on the thing, because we're still in negotiations with them on value engineering items that can create some savings.
Do you have any idea how much you think that might save?
Right now, they preliminary sent us some numbers of about $240,000 in savings to be negotiated. They still have 4 items out there unaddressed on their list that they showed to us. So $240,000 alone, if we agreed to those, would drop it down to 6.42 million, somewhere in there.
Any other questions? Did I have a second?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Lester did second that.
Have a second. Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
No.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
And the chair votes aye. Public hearing is set for 9 a.m. on the 24th. Any other motions?
do you need a motion from the board for the intent to award? Make a motion that the county administrator, county engineer move forward with intent to award.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Have any other discussion?
Yeah, somebody needs to explain what that means.
It means that they can start preliminary work at their risk, and that's actually the word. That they can go ahead and do as much work at their risk, waiting for the paperwork to catch up, not just the money, but the amount of paperwork, including bid and performance and payment bond, those things that take a lot of time. We don't need to be wasting beautiful weather as far as getting the job started. If the contractor is willing to, at risk, do these jobs, you need the intent to award as a vehicle to get there.
Does that presuppose the outcome of the public hearing?
No.
Okay.
He's doing it at his own risk.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
I have a question.
Yes.
Where's the liability insurance if they're out there working without a contract?
Stephen answered that. They're going to provide their standard general liability.
Okay.
They will not provide a performance and payment bond because the number's not finished yet.
Right, right.
But the general liability that I'm sure we've already got on record because they've done work for the county for many, many years, but they'll give you a new certificate of insurance on the general liability. The at-risk part covers all the rest of it. He's not being promised to be paid for any work he does. I think the actual language by at-risk means he's not expecting anything if it went sour. He might cry later, but do you think at-risk is a good word?
I do. Is there proposed writing to get them to start working, or is it verbal?
No, there's a state form that says that notice to award, he's willing to take that. If Stephen wants to attach an MOU, that's what we've agreed, I'd certainly endorse an MOU, but it puts you in greater legal jeopardy having a document than if you don't have a document. That gives you guys something to dicker and charge us money for.
And protect yourself.
Well, you can say that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Nah.
No.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-1. Okay, Mr. Byers, anything else to come forward to the board before we go to closed session?
I'm not aware of anything else. Ms. Collins, are you aware of anything else?
Okay, I entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors convene in closed meeting to discuss the following as permitted by Virginia Code 2.2, 3711A1, personnel matters, and also as permitted by 2.2, 3711A7, briefing by legal counsel.
I have a second.
Second.
Have a motion, second.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are now in closed session. Certification.
All right. Whereas the Wythe County Board of Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors.
I have a second on adopting the resolution.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Mr. Byers, anything else to come before the board at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention one thing to you all. Ms. Beth Pendleton, who painted the county seal, and also painted these two pictures back here, the courthouse and the rock house, came in this week to look at some of these paintings. She has requested permission to use them this weekend as part of the Edith Bowling Wilson, to take these paintings out of here on Thursday or Friday and return them back first of next week. I had no objections to it, but just want to let you all know, she was just showing some historic buildings. Some of her painting work is going to be displayed here and that. I just want to let you all know, just make certain there were no concerns. If she wants the county seal, it's in my office, she's welcome to take it as well.
Does anybody on the board have any problems with her borrowing the pictures?
Take the
I don't think you should even mention that, Coy.
Yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to let you all know. I want to make certain I told you all that, was taking these out of here.
What is the progress on our new website design?
I will work with Mr. Farley and get an update on that. Currently, he has really been occupied on filling Freedom of Information Act requests, and that is taking most all of his time on that.
Well, the reason why I had 2 or 3 people ask me, our exposition website, it says we're opening, or we already supposed to be open. So it's,
Farley will update that.
but that's the thing.
And he has a strong interest, of course, Jeremy's got a background in been in those things. He wants us to have a far user-friendly website. Mr. Southers has not had a lot of opportunity to be involved with it, but Jeremy's going to know the layout and everything in the process. And Mr. Southers is going to continue staying with Tyler Munis and our software change.
Where is our hiring process on the IT person?
I don't know if I included in my update to you. I meant to if I did not, but he has selected, had a good group of candidates come in, and he has identified a group of candidates to interview, and so should be interviewing hopefully by next week or so on that, bringing somebody in. But I thought it was a good group of candidates. Ms. Collins has reviewed it as well.
Does anybody else
Yeah,
have anything?
Since you brought up the website, I asked Jeremy about this. He said the reason you can't get our video is that former administrator didn't want to make it easy to find or something to that content. And that's why it showed on, is it?
YouTube.
YouTube. Why can't you go to the Wythe County website and get on it there?
I think,
I thought it was easier to find than that, but we will make certain that it is easy to find, and I will work with Jeremy on that.
I mean, we have no reason that this can't be accessible to the marginally computer competent. We don't need to add extra stumbling blocks to find it.
We will work on it and make certain.
What are you grinning about?
I don't know where it's on our ever meeting, but I think that there's a thing on there that says video Board of Supervisors meeting. You could click that link, but I don't know if it's on there every time.
Jeremy could answer us by moving the camera up and down. He didn't.
He's not.
Well, I just went to the website, I did see a quick here to pay county taxes.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing.
And one thing I'll say, just to let you all know, you probably already know, but Lisa Moore, who's director of Mount Rogers CSB, is retiring at the end of December. So I'm in interviews all day Thursday and Friday. We've got candidates that we're interviewing for that job.
I guess the question is there consensus of the board that if we're going to video these things, that they make it easy for the citizens to see the real business we do here, instead of making it that you got to go to another site. What is it on? What's the name of the?
YouTube.
Do you have to pay to be on YouTube?
No.
No.
You can go on there and watch about anything you want to watch, Joe.
I think it has to do with memory.
Oh, on their server?
Servers.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, because that eats up bandwidth.
We should put a more prominent link on
Website.
can you do that?
I think when Jeremy redesigns the website, he can put it on there. The link.
Okay.
Mr.
No.
Farley just indicated he will make a link easily and readily available on our homepage to where people can link to the YouTube site to find it. So,
Which won't take it back.
Mm.
which won't have.
Yeah, you're using somebody else's bandwidth. Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything come before the board? If not, we are adjourned. And, I would tell you, Stephen, I'll be going to Rhode Island probably Sunday for a week.
Rhode Island.
I have to finish taking Timothy's